Okay, we might get going. Good morning, everyone. I hope you've got a cup of coffee, sit back and relax and enjoy. It's a little bit of a bleaker day in Sydney, but hope you're all well. My name's Jeremy Tobias. I'm the CEO at GiveEasy. And I'd like to extend a very big warm welcome to you all today. And I'm excited to present and run through a very practical session on end of year financial year fundraising, what we do at GiveEasy if we were in your shoes. This session isn't about best practice or trends or a whole lot of data on spreadsheets. It's about the practical decisions we'd make if we were sitting legitimately in your role, planning end of year financial with limited time and very real time pressures. We're going to keep this very flexible and open. Can everyone hear me? I just see that someone is saying that there's a very loud echo. I just want to make sure that we're all good to go. We're all good. Yeah, we're all good. I hope. Yes, I'll just continue. We're going to keep this session pretty flexible. Please feel free to write in the chat box as you wish, and we'll come to the questions at the end. So, beginning of 2026, end of year planning often starts with a long list of things that you feel you should do. Like you should, and I'm sure that list grows. Different priorities, managers come and talk to you. They want to ask you things. You've got this long list. Today, we're going to start with what we'd actually do and actually get done. And also, really importantly, what we'd leave out. Then we're going to leave you with a summary of what we'll focus on for what you should focus on in 2026. And of course, please feel free to write questions as you go. And we will definitely have some time at the end to come to them. So it's just as important to focus on what we see every year being done time and time again that probably shouldn't be done or is a glaring mistake. We're in February. You have time to digest, to review. We're not in May, we're in February. So I'm just going to go through three mistakes that we see every year and things that we would 100% avoid if we were running a tax campaign. So, number one is overbuilding pages. What do I mean by that? I mean unbelievably long blocks of text on digital. And why does this occur? It occurs because charities spend time, firstly and correctly, building their direct mail. And that is a lot of text. You've got paragraphs and paragraphs, and the easy option is to dump the direct mail copy onto the digital page. The problem is that you get a desktop page looking like this on the right-hand side, and I don't even know what mobile would actually look like. You also potentially could have multiple calls to action. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could link off to this case study? Or maybe it's a really great opportunity to maybe allow people to sign up for the peer-to-peer event because we're short on numbers. Or maybe we should put a video in, and we're all for videos, but let's jump out to YouTube and get them to watch that video on YouTube. Our view at GiveEasy is yes, you need a really clear call to action, but one call to action. In the end, tax time is all about raising as much money as possible. And you still need that image, that headline image. You still need to show people where the funds are going. But it's not just about dumping every single picture from the case study onto the landing page or going, how can we explain the whole case study on the landing page? Remember, on your warm audiences, your donors are going to be taken on a journey. Most of them, or some of them, will have received a direct mail pack. They may receive up to 6 or 7 or 8 EDMs, and they'll probably receive 1, 2, or 3 MMSs, and they'll also have seen social posts. So the donation page, whilst is really important, is not the be all and end all to tell the full story. Keep creating a donation page that looks beautiful, that's on brand, fonts, colors, a video that plays within the donation page and doesn't jump out, and tailoring that mobile experience that I'll come to shortly is key. So I would ask you to think about when you're designing your donation pages, what copy do you actually need on the page? What pictures do you need on the page? How clear is it that the donor can make a donation? And if we were designing a page, our page would look like something on the right. Our second mistake that we see that we would if we were running a charity, try and make sure that we didn't make this mistake is setting up too late. We are going to leave you with a timetable after this webinar, so please watch out for that. But what we see there's timetables in market, and then Easter happens, and potentially Anzac Day happens, and school holidays and delays happen. And before you know it, the direct mail is launching and the EDM is out on the next day, and charities are still tweaking their donation page. Now, we know on digital that you can get a donation page up ultra quick. It's one of the benefits. It's flexible. Emergency campaigns, you can set up your donation page in half an hour. But the problem at tax time is that you then receive a call from your manager after the first EDM's gone out saying that there's a spelling mistake, or it's not mobile friendly, or, oh, but I thought we were going to use the other image as the banner, right? And that all happens because you're tweaking at the last moment. You're making changes the day before because you can, but it's not in your best interest as an organization. So our strong view is to set up on digital early. Most organizations are seeing a significant pull in year after year. Their percentages are really changing, and some organizations are receiving more donations on digital than on direct mail. But don't stress. Keep that stress on digital to a minimum. Set up early because your donors notice mistakes. They do. They're okay. The odds, full stop or spelling mistake is okay. But if you're constantly making mistakes on your donation page, it destroys the brand. And we're taking these donors on a journey. So again, if you can, stick to your timetable. Focus on setting up on digital. Send that donation page around. Send it around to your team. Test it. Test it on desktop. Test it on iPad. Test it on mobile. Get feedback, but not feedback a day before where the focus will just be, wow, our EDM is due at 10 a.m. Let's just get a donation page. And that goes with the thank you page and the receipt. It needs to have a consistent flow and not just feel to the donor as if they're generally donating to your cause. And our third one that I'd like to leave you with is manual processes. And I think that I please write these questions. I can see a couple coming through. I will come to them at the end if that's okay. So please write them through now, and I will leave time at the end to come to them. The third one is manual processes. Every organization is different. Personally, I hate updating thermometer bars on landing pages for match giving and turning on match giving at midnight. That's what I hate, right? Other organizations might have different things that they hate as well, right? But make a list of the manual processes that you were doing at Christmas around digital and donations and fundraising. Make a list of those that you did at tax, if you can remember last year, and try and tick them off and work out processes, whether it's integrations, whether it's better data handling, whether it's better suppressions, whether it's page automation that allows you to stop wasting your valuable and precious time on manual processes. And again, everyone is different. Some organizations do have a Salesforce integration. Some organizations are already using Pageflow and GiveEasy. Work out what manual processes you can shift to alleviate one, errors, and two, time. Those are just three that we wanted to leave you with. I wanted to get into a case study. And this meets Safe Pause. I do have my cavoodle in the room. She's asleep. If she wakes up, I'll bring her on this webinar. But Safe Pause is a made-up charity. But if I'm honest with you, it's probably fits the bill or somewhat of the bill of a number of organizations on this call today. And again, if it doesn't fit you 100%, I'm sure that there are some takeouts that you can get from Safe Pause Home. So just remember, where Give Easy's advising or Give Easy's, running Safe Paws Home. Safe Paws Home is a dog and cat rescue organisation in Sydney, rescues and rehabilitates, abandoned and sick animals. The size of the fundraising team is around 3 people. It's got an individual giving manager. It's looking to raise $450,000 at tax, which is an uplift on last year. In good news, it's just recently confirmed a match gift of $50,000, which is absolutely awesome. It does have some internal approvals that are needed around donation pages, just to make sure that it's online with brand and obviously all the EDMs and SMSs. It does have some decent channels. It does have the direct mail. It does send out emails. It does SMS in the past, and it does do for some paid social, and it runs a tax campaign and a Christmas campaign and a giving day, and a couple of other peer-to-peer events. So there are some conflicting priorities in the organization. So let's look at what Give Easy would do, or through Safe Pause at tax time. So number one is to really nail the end of year message. So what's the message? What are we going out with? And SafePause has been lucky in a way that it's been doing some year-round testing, some always-on testing around. As I said, they really rescue dogs and cats, and the dogs' images and messaging has significantly outperformed cats time and time again, both on social and on some of their shoulder appeals. The interesting thing is that the operations manager at the organization really loves cats and is ramming home we should be doing a case study and the tax appeal on cats. But in this instance, Safe Pause is going with dogs because dogs have won out. They've done testing, always on. They've learned their audiences are primed, and they're going to be focusing on dogs. So they're locking in early. Just to be clear, they're locking in early their end of year financial offer, which is we're going with a help dogs, help save more dogs this tax time. They've also, as I said, locked in early match giving. So even above their giving day, they've seen great results around match giving at tax time. And so they've been able to increase the match gift from last tax time from 30 to 50. And they're starting that match gift on the 22nd of June this year, which is a Monday. So 30 June this year is a Tuesday, and they're going to be running that match gift from the Monday before. So, nine days potentially. The hope is that they run out of that match giving in a couple of days. But if you remember, those 10 days before the end of the financial year are absolutely key. What else are they locking in early? They're locking in their calendar and their campaigns. And then, as I said, we will after this webinar on the email that we send, we will give you a draft calendar that you can play with. You can drag and drop some of the dates to suit you. This is really important because fundraising organization is aligned. There's no conflicting other priorities that will go out at least on these days, and hopefully of the week of the EDMs and SMSs. The organization understands though that things happen. Unfortunately, we live in a world that's very, very fluid at the moment. But they have a set calendar in place that they're willing to change if something, a disaster or a tragedy happens or something particular to their organization happens. But they've locked and loaded early the planning for their campaign. And they've got that signed off by their team. What's also not negotiable for them, and what they've locked in early is the ease of donation. So it's one-click donations as much as possible. They're doing QR codes or personalized QR codes on their mail pack. So as we know, that's needed really early in the cycle just to get those personalized QR codes. So, like a pre-filled form with the donor's first name and last name and email and their unique amount. So, it's literally like a one click, no joke, a one click donation for a QR code. So, it's really taking the static QR code and taking that to the next level. And, you need that to the mail house even really before you finish building your donation page. So they've spoken to the mail house, that's no problem. They've done that in previous years. They're going to do pearls on email, SMS, MMS, and QR codes, and they're just looking for that ease of experience. And they have filmed early. This year, they're going to do MMS for the first time, and we're going to talk about that shortly. They have got a video filmed early, both for their landing page, which is a bit of a longer video, and also a short video for MMS. And thank you page, receipts, that's all set up. Domain names are all set up to make it look like it's coming from the charity. And they've got a plan in place of how they're going to do suppression. So they've really got, a good setup from a comms point of view, from a messaging point of view, and they've got the foundations of a donation page and platform ready to go. Um, what I'm going to talk about is things, and just as importantly, things that you wouldn't, well, safe pause aren't going to bother with this tax time. And I've spoken about it, but not overbuilding the pages. More about one click, more about making it a frictionless donation experience. Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and obviously credit card. Really important is the fields on that form as well. So, everyone sort of laughs, and I tell this story every tax time, but I have to tell it again, which is, charities that are sending out mobile comms via SMS are taking people to a form that's asking for mobile phone number. And everyone at this point goes, as if that's me. And then they go and check their donation form and they're like, oh, that is me type thing. So it's around what fields do we actually need to capture on that form? And they're going to be designing different experiences based on different channels, but really catering on the fields that they need. And as I said, SafePaws has, direct mail, and EDM only donors. They've got standard donors and they've got high value donors, but that's the segmentation that they're going to keep to. They're not going to segment by state or postcode or things that, they might want to do, but given this team size, they're still going to give their donors an awesome experience. So the high value donors are not going to get personalized URLs with ask amounts on the pages. The standard donor values are, and they do have a different channel for those direct mail donors that are going to receive EDMs versus the donors that aren't going to do this. So again, this is what SafePaws is looking to do for their tax campaign. The other thing that SafePaws aren't going to do is reinvent the wheel. Sorry, they are going to look to not necessarily try anything ridiculously big at tax time. So they've tested, they've tried, they understand dogs beat cats, things like that. But they're not going to go and test something unbelievably extravagant at tax, because in the end, the rest of the year is for the testing that you then implement at tax time. That's not to say that you can't test title, copy, or small changes, but tax time is not the time to go, we've always wanted to test this, because you just may not find that it works. And they've got certain words that resonate really well with their donors. So obviously the case study is different, the images are different, but they are going to look back at some of that old copy from previous campaigns, especially at tax, to see what works. And the last one might be a little bit controversial, but they're also not going to be spending all this time on the nice to haves, or someone's come to them with a potential TV opportunity. And safe balls have in the past spent a lot of time on preparing and getting very, very excited, thinking all the dollars are going to come in from the TV opportunity, and then being absolutely disappointed. Where safe balls understands that telethons are telethons on TV, but TV opportunities haven't traditionally brought in the big dollars. So focus on what, for a small team, what is going to bring in the dollars, which is not what might bring in the big dollars, but is potentially shiny. And then in terms of just personalization and frictionless giving, Safe Pause, as I said, like one-click donations, pre-filling donation forms. They've seen, around, a really big uplift in mobile giving, and around 30% of their donations at the moment come from PayPal. So PayPal is a non-negotiable, and of course, mobile, Apple Pay and Google Pay having them on there, and then just being able to personalize donation pages to really keep that consistency from the warm donor comms. So from the EDM, where you're talking to, the person's name in the email, their unique dollar handles, mimicking the direct mail all the way to the landing page. And also in terms of like where else they're going to focus. So just to be clear, they're going to focus on frictionless, personalized giving, really tailoring these pages across their warm channels here. They're also going to focus on mobile giving. So as I said, they've had some really good results on SMS previously. Given all the market chatter around and the results around MMS, they're going to throw in an additional MMS this tax time. And as I said, they've already created their video for the MMS, so they're actually going to do an additional copy. And then, traditionally they've done two SMSs. They're actually going to do another MMS in that last week, just because they're seeing some great results in market. And tracking is vitally important to an organization like SafePaws, where they're just going to set up UTMs that track. So every single link that goes out in market, whether it's cold or warm, will have a UTM. They'll be able to track in real time. And by real time, what's really important is the social paid ads, just to make sure that they're performing as expected. Again, not expecting any surprises, but being able to see in real time how each of the channels are performing, um, is very relevant whilst the campaign is on, as well as after the campaign. But they're very adamant that every single link that goes out, even if it's from an ambassador, CEO, website, EDM, MMS, has UTMs so they can track. And then what SafePaws has seen last year and what they're seeing consistent in market is those last 10 days. So the last 10 days are the real key donation time on digital. But it's the journey to build up, right? You're telling that story. SafePaws is telling that story from May all the way into June. But those last 10 days, so that from that Monday, 10 days out, or 9 days out from June, all the way up until 30 June is key. And as I said, that's when they're going to be launching their match giving campaign, updating the copy of their banners, again, sending one more than normal, than they've previously done, MMS, and just making sure that everyone in the organization understands that if a donor calls on the phone, they're there to answer the phone, all the links, everything possible on their landing page, can go to the donation page. And they're going to set up page flow automation, which essentially allows them to design the whole flow of the donation experience before it actually happens. So they're able to set up where there's no mistakes. They don't have to stay up until midnight. They don't have to update any of these landing pages, but the donors get an amazing experience. So how does that look in practice? They're able to set up these page states um, before their tax campaign actually occurs. So if you see this, this is wave one, where the emails, direct mail is talking about Joey. They then go to page state two, which is the Hero Study Buddy, which is for their direct mail too. And these are all being designed before the tax appeal, and there's no clicking of any buttons for Safe Pause. It's all done within the platform based on triggers and rules and time-based rules. When match giving goes live at midnight, no one is actually updating any pages at midnight. It automatically clicks over. The copy is different. The thermometer's on the page. The countdown timer's on the page. Match giving's on the page. When they're at a percentage, the page clicks over automatically. Again, that could be on a weekend. It could be on Safe Pause's fundraiser coordinator's birthday. It just does it without anyone needing to update. And then, as I've said before, those final days, those really crucial days where 7 days out, 3 days out, 1 day out, you can actually have slightly different page states that are automatically triggered without anyone actually doing any of the work, because SafePause doesn't want to be handling and updating donation pages and changing banners and changing text and making mistakes, because they're stressed with everything else that's going on. And then, of course, potentially sending out a thank you, EDM, and maybe even trying to upsell their donors on a regular gift after July. Um, so that's SafePause. SafePause is nervously excited, but the good news for Safe Pause is that they've already really started planning. They've already got that calendar in place. They've already ticked off some of those non-negotiables. I'm just gonna finish with what some summary points in terms of what teams are simplifying, um, or and what we would be looking to simplify for tax and beyond. Tax is obviously the key campaign for most organizations over the next little while, but it's not the be all and end all for 2026. But really getting rid of mistakes, using page flow automation, using integrations, um, having a clear campaign timeline that it can be changed, but it has been signed off early, so everyone knows their roles and responsibilities. And also looking at what can you integrate, what can you make it so your life is super simple and easy. What fundraisers are looking at pulling back on, which is reducing the number of fields on the donation form. Um, not having that same page for the whole campaign, being able to tweak that page, being able to give your donors a hyper personalized experience, and also not utilizing tax, even though there's a lot of money that coming through to test the next massive big thing. Again, testing is fine. We're all about testing, trying, working out what works and what doesn't. But leave that real big test for another campaign. And hopefully, you've got some learnings from your campaigns during the year to go full out on at tax time. And then what's in terms of what donors are really caring about at the moment, and what's really important for charities, for their donors and for the experience. And remember, tax, it's like a thriller movie in a way, right? You set the scene, and then right at the end, you're getting everyone pumped up and getting those donations coming through. So it's really about building up that momentum and telling that story. And that donor may only donate via that last MMS, but they may have opened every single other piece of comp. So let's give that donor the best possible experience using multiple payment methods. So credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, using one-click pearls across QR codes, EDMs, MMS, SMS, introducing an additional SMS or, in my view, an MMS, and not having that donation page being completely distracting with all different things and calls to action. On your warm donors, especially, those donors have read the email, read the direct mail, read the MMS, read the SMS. They want a simple page that still resonates with the tax campaign to make their donation. I think that's what we've got today. So I hope both the the Safe Pause case study has really resonated with some of you on the call. Again, it's not everyone's, case study. It doesn't fit the brief for everyone, but there are parts of that for each of your organizations on the call to take away. And just remember, tax is a journey. Tax starts today with the planning. If you get your planning right, you launch on target, you launch, people aren't stressed as much. And then, as you're telling that story through your 5, 6, 7 EDMs, through your social media posts, the more consistent the story is across your digital channels, the more likely or more believable that story is for your donors to make their donation. And come the 1st of July, you can go, we've done our best. The story was authentic. We gave our donors payment options. We made it unbelievably simple to donate. And we set ourselves up for success rather than being frazzled 15 minutes after that first EDM has gone out because there's a spelling mistake or the mobile form is not set up correctly. Um, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to ask some questions. I can see some questions have come through, so I'm just going to cover them. Please feel free to write in the chat box, and we do have some time, which is awesome. Um, just a question from Teresa at RSPCA. Do you worry that sending people to YouTube to watch video rather than keeping on the donation page will distract them from donating? Yes, absolutely. So, um, you know, we're definitely seeing videos still being part of tax campaigns and obviously pretty big on giving days as well. But like if I'm, being a bit biased on the Give Easy donation page, you can actually play the video within the page. So the donor isn't dropping off and actually going to YouTube. I mean, my personal hate is where I see an email that has a video on the email that links straight to YouTube. I'm like, oh my God, like, yeah, sure, people are going to watch the video, but they're not that they've clicked off. So that's the big no-no. The second big no-no is taking them to a donation page that actually clicks off to YouTube. In my view, best practice is to have a lookalike video on the email with a play button, and then you put the video below the donation form. So they actually have to click through the email. They land on a one-click pre-filled donation form. They see the donation form and the video is below. Yeah, definitely part of a mix for a charity if they're sending out 6 or 7 video emails. I wouldn't be putting it on every single on every single email. Jade from Museum of Brisbane asks, with reducing the number of fields on the form, can you still capture their data through PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay? Brilliant question. Yeah, so on GiveEasy, we have a really simple donation form where you can, I'll just maybe just go back to one of the slides if I can here, where you can just get the donor to enter an amount or it's pre-filled, put your email in, you're done. We actually ask the donor to confirm their first name and their last name and any additional fields on the thank you page. So we pass the first name and the last name, even if they don't confirm back to the charity. We also have an additional form if you want to collect all that before. But to me, this is the fastest donation that you can make in Australia and potentially the world. Yeah, Cassandra from Young Care. How soon do you recommend launching a tax support campaign? Yeah, fascinating question. And I don't think that there's one right or one wrong answer here. I think it depends on the organization. Some organizations are digital only, right? So they don't send out their direct mail. So they'll be launching a little bit later. For a traditional charity that has two waves of direct mail, we sort of see them being launched beginning of May, second week in May. Um, Again, the feedback normally is, oh God, our campaign's going slow. Like what's happening? Like, do you think like are things slow in market? So remember, it's a story that you're telling. And at Give Easy, we see those last 10 days being where the digital donations come in. So you're priming your donors up for donating. Of course, you'll get some donations, but it's really not giving up hope if things are slow, and supercharging and having a bunch of comms really planned for that last week. As I said, I'd be throwing in one more MMS SMS than you're currently doing, just because being in front of your donors and the charities that I saw doing that last tax opt-outs were still minimal. And just being in front of your donors because every other charity is, right. It's a competitive period where donors are opening their wallet to make donations. Teresa, again, just can you tell us a little bit more about what you would recommend for MMS? What kind of length of video? Where in the timeline would you use one? Yeah, so I might just, we do have a calendar that we're going to send out, but if I can find, yeah, okay, this is, um, if it was me, so in terms of the video, yeah, so MMS needs to be kept to about 2 meg file, which is about like so the video that I sent to you guys to remind you of the webinar was around 20 to 25 seconds. So anything more than 25 seconds, you're pushing it. It's really great if it comes from CEO, person at the shelter, someone that's really recognizable within the organization or that can tell a story. And you do get a lot more characters and you can go wild with emojis versus an SMS. Where in the timeline? Yeah, so interesting question. So if you're safe pause and you have some match giving, I'd be launching the match giving with an MMS, because it's different and you'd stand out versus all the other organizations that are going to be launching with an SMS. And then I'd probably have another MMS up my sleeve if things were still short on my match giving campaign. Um, like, we're still short, get us over the line type thing. And then I'd probably have an SMS on the last day of, the 29th or 30th, a Monday or the Tuesday of June. Yeah, but I can definitely advise or help with requirements around MMS as well. Cassandra, just from Young Care, how do you set up page flow automation on GiveEasy? Yeah, good question. So there is a button that I can show you where you just implement it very simply and easily, and you effectively have, instead of having one donation page, you effectively have the ability to have 4 different page states or 5 different page states or however many page states that you want. So it's still that one URL, but you can design all of your page flows for the tax appeal, and it's literally just clicking a button. It's important that that's set up before we generate any of the personalized URLs for you. But literally, I think there's a help desk article, but we'll guide you through it. But it's literally one button. Any other questions? Or are we last chance? Okay. I think We are good. Again, we've gone early here. You should be going early. Tax time, in my view, starts now. The planning is just as important as the implementation. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the session today and you have a good rest of the day. And please watch out for that calendar that we will send you. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.